You're my brother-in-law.
Girl, she's my Asian girl. You're
Oh
my
yeah,
Asian
brother-in-law.
girl. You're my Asian girl. You're my Asian girl. She's my Asian girl. It's my Asian. You're my Asian girl. I love your sticky rice.
Love it.
But fucking all night.
I know this
Korean
song.
barbecue. Bitch, I love you. I love your creamy yellow thighs. Oh, your slanted eyes. That was the year of the dragon. Ninja.
Welcome, everybody. It is another exciting edition of the Sports Hole. I'm your host, Luke. With me, as always, XFL Jim, rock and roll Matty Goldberg. Get the show started with a little catatonic hues today.
Yeah,
baby.
you know, I remember when that song came out in the controversy. It was a St. Louis band. They were like new metal, but like 10 years past the time of new metal. And this song ended their career. They were in LA and they broke up after this. There's a
Really?
video. Yeah.
They had
I
at least
remember when it
several other
came out.
races to cover.
They said they were on TMZ and they're like, no, man, it's fun. Like we thought it would be a tribute to the Asian people. Like we thought it was like an honor. But I mean,
That's always
No.
what you go with. That's the
Yeah.
move every time. It's like, no, I was just trying to be like a rendition in honor of what I'm
Right.
making.
wait till you see the video. The video is even more offensive.
That I feel bad for that Asian girl. It was like butt fucking all night. I mean,
But
all
fucking
night.
the time.
All
I mean,
night.
a little bit maybe, but all night.
Yeah.
That girl's not pooping right for a week.
It's all
Yeah.
gone. There's nothing left. It's all
Yeah,
over.
and they
that
got this, like,
bleached
gorgeous
guy,
Asian
hair
girl.
guy's bed.
Yeah, they got
What's
this
that?
gorgeous Asian girl in the video, and
Yeah.
it's tough for her because she's the idiot that like participated in this, that not
She's
knowing what the
she's
controversy
the Uncle
would be.
Tom of the Asian
Yeah.
community, I guess.
But before we start, I got a little bone to pick with. our
Oh
friend
yeah,
here.
Lay it on me,
Let's get
Matty.
her out of the
Oh, I bet.
rumble.
So Jim was like, he sends us these links for his amazing, and I recommend them. His streams are great for UFL football. So he sent it, and I'm in the waiting room, and I sat there for about
Wait.
2-3 minutes
What, on Saturday?
on Saturday, and I said, nobody makes Matty Goldberg wait 2 to 3 minutes. I am the fucking star, motherfucker.
Wow.
You make me wait, I'm the fuck out of there, and I don't forget it, Jimbo.
When was this on Saturday?
Don't pretend like you don't know.
I really don't, Matty. Was this during
Wow.
one of the breaks or was this during like
Academy
the actual
goes
game?
to
I think it was during one
XFL
of the
Gym.
games.
Because I like,
Yeah.
because I take these breaks during stream because I'll stream for like Saturday. I stream for like 12 hours.
I mean, I'm sure
So-
you didn't see it, but I'm just
Yeah.
having fun with you. But
I was so upset.
waiting.
I was wondering on Saturday where the hell you were too.
Well, I was waiting, and then I'm like, nobody puts baby in the corner. Nobody puts daddy in the corner. You will pay for this.
Wow.
It's okay, Matty. I was by
What are you
myself.
gonna
like,
do?
the
What's
entire
gonna be your
day.
retaliation?
Jim knows.
Oh,
I'm expecting.
wow,
He's
Matt,
gonna
you
get
gonna
the-
fly to
the-
Jim's island town in
I'll write a
Nebraska?
song about him called UFL Guys.
And how you're gonna butt fuck him all night?
Yeah, baby.
Does Jim have
Sticky
creamy
rice.
yellow thighs?
Yeah.
If I get dehydrated enough, I will.
I'm okay.
Yo, but you know, it's funny at the end of the song, they do this break where they just start naming Asian things. So it's like Asian girls, and he goes, Bruce Lee, Asian girls, Kung Fu, Asian girls, fortune
The
cookies.
best thing is I can feel confident playing that, knowing we're not gonna get some copyright.
Well, we're doing it
strike.
as fun. We're making
Yeah.
fun of how bad the song is. We're not like, yeah, this is a great song, a great video. This is not.
No,
we
it's-
know it's one of the worst songs of all time.
Yeah, it's one of those things you see. Like they were doing this in earnest too. Like they thought.
Oh
like,
yeah. Again, I was following this when it happened because I just thought it was amazing. I remember sending it to a bunch of friends. We just couldn't stop watching it. And then they got on TMZ because they wanted to defend themselves. And
yeah.
the guy was like, yeah, it was like we thought it was going to be like a tribute and everybody like would think it's a positive song, but
Like
no.
they were like celebrating Asian Pacific Islander History Month.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. But fucking all the
right.
time.
All
But
night long
fucking
is
all
crazy.
night, all night long. Just that poor little butthole. Not so little
Speaking
anymore.
of which, I'm ready to get my hole filled with sports.
Yes, you come to the right place. The creamery is in session.
Oh yeah.
Got to start off with something that was kind of anticlimactic. The
Yeah.
national championship game. Like I know I was kind of down on it last week. I'm like, this is just feels inevitable though, even though we did have a couple good storylines throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is just a fucking great team in UConn that, I mean, they won this one by 15. They played their walk-ons in every game. It was just like nuts. Yeah.
You know, like after the tournament, this is what I said to myself. This was a boring year. This was a boring March Madness. And then like I always watch One Shining Moment. You guys watch One Shining Moment?
Oh yeah.
And even that had no really like usually like it's like buzzer beater after buzzer beater,
Yeah.
crazy upsets. Aside from Kentucky getting upset and like, you know, Texas A&M hitting that 3 against Houston, there wasn't a lot, and NC State, you know, making it very fun for them and their campus. There wasn't a lot of games that you were like, holy shit, this is a classic.
It never felt like any of the games came down to the wire.
No, there was maybe
like
2 or 3.
There was like 3 games in the whole tournament.
Yeah,
I will say,
weird.
like the conference tournament part of March Madness was incredible.
was better.
Like, the Big East tournament was awesome.
Yeah.
The ACC tournament was sick. Like the conference tournaments were awesome, but the actual NCAA tournament, kind of a dud.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a bad year, man. And UConn is like this weird team because it's not like they have this NBA prospect that is so amazing. They have like just a solid team of like 8 or 9 guys that do their job, that play their role with a very good aggressive coach. And it just seems like you have to mentally beat them. And like a lot of these teams that are great offensively, like Illinois is one of the top offensive teams in Purdue, they just had nothing against. Alabama played them pretty good. Alabama played them the best.
I would have been very excited to see them go up against Kentucky, not Tennessee. Tennessee.
Yeah,
Wow.
Tennessee had some fire, but like UConn was just so good. And I can't even like, it's not even like where you
Was
just
there like, okay, so I didn't watch much college basketball this year. And is there anybody on either Purdue or UConn that's going to play in the league?
Well, Zach Edey will.
I don't think
Zach
he
Edey
will.
will be a bench warmer.
Yeah.
I think he'll be like a Luka
Garza.
Exactly.
Yeah, he'll get 8 minutes a game when you
I
need
don't
a
think
body.
he'll get, like Luka Garza's still on like a 2-way contract. I think like I don't know if this guy's gonna be, and he doesn't shoot threes, right?
I'll tell you this, you can't teach size. So for 10 minutes a game, he can make $5 million a year by just getting in the second quarter, the third quarter, playing some minutes, getting some rebounds. He's not going to be an impact player.
We'll see. I doubt it. My money's not on him being in the NBA.
I'm saying 10 minutes a game for 10 years.
I agree. I mean, I see your logic in that, but I'm not. I think in this day and age, unless you can really like the Pistons got a guy,
shoot threes.
Jalen Duren, who doesn't shoot threes but can fucking hoop. And Zach Edey just looks like if you get other 7-footers on her, which everybody has athletic 7-footers now, you know, and he's not athletic. That can shoot threes, that can run this guy around and post up on it. You know,
he's gonna have a lot of trouble. Klingon is probably a better prospect. He's
Newton might be able to do something. Maybe
Newton's a good player.
Yeah, Newton's good.
Yeah, Newton will play in the NBA. Nobody else for Purdue though. They got a lot of smaller guys that shoot threes, and they all shit the bed in the final. Like I thought they would come out and shoot better threes and play better, but UConn's defense is suffocating.
Zach Edey had like the quietest 30+ point game I've ever seen in my life.
And that's what they did.
30 points in that game.
Well, what they did,
he scored over 30. Yeah,
right.
In the second half,
terrible.
They took away the 3-point line because they're up by 12, and they're like, "Look, let Edey get his points because keep the threes. Don't let him get in the game with the threes. Let him get his twos, tire him out. If we do that, we can coast. And the way Hurley controls the clock, he knows exactly when to slow the game down. He knows when to speed it up. He's very smart. He's a very good coach. And he's going to be annoying for a lot of years with UConn if he stays there.
He's like what my brother was in college basketball. I'm going to be as the coach in college basketball. Like, just an annoying guy that will. And that team was great, though. I mean, kudos to him. I don't, it's just like, and what's to stop them from keep winning and winning? Like, and it's smart too. Like I said, like, okay, so you have guys that aren't jumping off the screen that look like they're going to play in the NBA, and that's what you need, though. We have Calipari jump ship to go to Arkansas because he was probably going to get fired anyways. What a raw deal, because we don't even know if this guy can really coach. He's had like the best players in the world and only managed one championship the whole time. Well,
the other thing too is what they've learned is like when you bring in these potential lottery picks that are really raw against 22-year-old kids, they can be beaten. And that's why we see Kentucky upset so much, that he gets the rawest of NBA prospects that are one and done. Yeah. So you don't build a team, and then they lose against a team like Oakland, who's probably got guys that are 23, 24 because of the COVID stuff.
Sure.
And this has happened to him a couple years.
And he doesn't hit the transfer portal either.
No. That's what you had to do in today's game. You have to hit the transfer portal.
Well, I'm excited for my buddy because his son committed to Arkansas, and I think it's good for him.
Do you think he'll stay?
I don't know. He might go with Musselman, who went to USC, which is interesting.
Right.
But why not go? He's playing basketball out here for high school. Why not go somewhere cool and have fun,
Yeah. I would rather go to USC than
probably. I probably would. Yeah.
Yeah, but some kids like to get away and go see the other side of the world. Like the biggest problem with New York with St. John's is they couldn't keep any kids here because it's like, well, you can stay at St. John's and live in cold Queens, or you can go to Arizona, you can go to Kansas, you can go to UCLA and see palm trees, right?
Yeah.
Like, why not see the other side of the country?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you guys think UConn can three-peat?
Yeah, I mean,
who's graduating from there?
So good.
So they graduating. They have. Let's see. I know Newton's gone. I think because he's a grad. Let's see.
The thing is like he's got a great. It's a team, and when you're a team that plays that well together, that's very rare in college ball.
Yeah.
And I don't see people really beating them if he can keep this going. What I would do is just put all your stock in 4 stars that are not going to be gone after a year. Get your 4-star prospects that are willing to play and learn with you,
and get your big transfers in.
Yeah.
Newton's gone. I think Cam Spencer is gone. And that might be it.
Wow.
Those are the only grads. I mean, Hurley could be gone, but who cares? He's a bench guy. And Diarra, yeah, it's just those. It's really just Newton and Cam Spencer.
Is Klingon gonna stay?
He could. I mean,
I heard he's working on his 3-point game, and if he starts hitting outside shots,
forget about it.
He's going to be a tough guy. He'll be an NBA prospect for sure.
Yeah,
but I can see him staying.
Yeah, Edey, I don't know. I mean, Edey will get eaten up in that league, but I think he'll play. He can last 6 to 8 years if he realizes he's an 8-minute guy, a 10-minute guy. Kind of one of those.
Hey, there's only been one other team that's three-peated. I want UConn to do it now at this point.
I mean, I'll give him credit. He was
UCLA?
Busting his ass and making really hard shots and a lot of, and I'm like, that's how I knew, like, about 10 minutes in the game, I'm like, this is not sustainable for Purdue. For Edey to be making these weird ass shots, like
no, because he started missing them like mid-second quarter and just went cold.
Exactly.
Well, you also need your guy to be UConn. You need to hit threes like Alabama. Like Alabama was in the game; they were 7 for 10 in threes in the first half, and you kind of got to get that hot. And if you're cold you're fucked because they take a lot away from you.
And they still beat Alabama by 14.
I know.
Like,
And
that's crazy. This run
and they
was
slow
crazy.
the game down. Like they manage the game where it's so hard to come back because they slow it at the exact right spot. And then they just focus on getting stops. Like they take a pride in getting stops. Very well
Yeah,
coached,
I
but
don't.
kind
I
of
mean
boring.
that's the model people should be following when they're looking to hire a coach in college basketball.
Well, that's the problem with Calipari because he's the opposite.
No, he's Calipari feels more like an NBA agent than
Yes.
like a fucking college basketball coach.
When I was working in advertising, we had a job to do ESPN college basketball, and there was writers that blew me away, and I wanted to learn advertising, so I picked the brains of some of these writers, and this one guy wrote, we were doing these like telemarketing stuff, like Glenn Ross of college basketball, and this guy wrote these scripts with John Calipari in it, and they were amazing. Like he was like selling like stuff on the phone. It was great. Like he's a salesman, like an Amway guy, and
that makes total sense. Yeah,
it didn't happen, but I was like, these are funny as fuck. Like, can you imagine him like, this is John Calipari. You want to buy so and so, and like,
right.
just like not taking no. And that's the thing. He sold kids on coming to play for him, but
I mean, he's got a million kids gone into the league. I would be curious to see who are, a part. Like, I mean, Anthony Davis sticks like
Tyler Hero, Marcus Camby.
Was Marcus Camby one of his?
Yeah, UMass. Way
Oh,
back.
UMass. Well, I mean, like
Derek,
I think Devin
Derrick
Booker.
Rose was at number one. I mean, you got Derrick Rose to go to Memphis, which is not exactly a big school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, year they lost to Kentucky, they had all those players, Towns, and
I don't know. I get more impressed by people who take people that are sort
More
of
with less.
and
like
put them in
Hurley.
the league.
Hurley's good.
Yeah,
he's a nut job.
That's great.
Love him.
He pushed his own player. That was wild.
That was hilarious. That was amazing.
So not only did Purdue take a thumping, the men's basketball ratings took a thumping too. That almost like 4 million more viewers tuned into the women's championship game. A lot of that was the Caitlin Clark effect.
And I'm so mad at these fucking. I'm gonna say something horrible. I'll
these WNBA players.
I cannot believe these girls are so fucking stupid because they bitched and moaned about their shitty ratings, and they're finally gonna get this golden goose that has potential to get them higher ratings, henceforth higher salaries, and they've done nothing but trash her and try to take her down. It makes me sick.
Maddie, is there one specific writer you're referring to?
Well, Jamel Hill wrote, usual nonsense about it. But a lot of these girls, like what pissed me off is Jason Williams. This dumb motherfucker had everything. I think he was like the 5th pick overall in the NBA, Duke superstar, great college career. There's a clause in every contract. You can't ride a motorcycle. What does he do? He shatters his leg, career over. And he has the nerve to say, he's like, I can't call her a great player because she never won a championship.
Oh, God. A girl who basically revolutionized a whole, sport.
Listen, South Carolina's got 5 girls that are probably going to make the WNBA. There's not a girl on the team that will sniff it. Maybe the center is decent. I don't know if she's good enough to play in the WNBA, but there's not another player that will sniff that league. Caitlin Clark did incredible things. She was must-see TV. You should be kissing her ass. All of you girls, you're going to get paid more. And how do you treat her? By trashing her.
Maybe that's how they get people to watch, though.
Yeah.
They create the league versus
Imagine
Caitlin.
if you weren't talking about Jason Williams or Jamel Hill today.
What if it's the league versus Caitlin
Clark? UConn girls too.
Yeah.
Diana Taurasi had the nerve to say that she would pick Paige Bueckers chick over Caitlin Clark in the draft. And you're like, what? And I think, look, Paige Weggers is great.
That
but
might just be draft analysis because maybe I heard some people say like Clark's game might not like translate to the WNBA
You mean
as well.
scoring points doesn't translate?
No, like there's
scoring
I mean the
points
people
and-
she's up against are way taller and
and
everything.
bringing
Like
ratings.
I think the fact that she's a great 3-point shooter helps her in that league.
and she's gonna bring
of
ratings.
course. Yeah,
The ratings is the best part.
Look, she could have gone to another school. She could have gone to a school that has a chance to win. She could have won 2 titles if she transferred. It's easy to transfer now. She stayed at Iowa. She's a loyal person. Her story is great. She did all she could do. South Carolina was loaded. They had 37 bench points to 0. Like they out rebounded Iowa like something like 32-12. They did all they could do. Hats off to Caitlin Clark. If you're a hater and you're a girl and you're in the WNBA, don't take the raise.
I want it to be the league versus Caitlin Clark now. I like this storyline we're developing. I'm into it now.
Don't take the raise. That's what I gotta say. You shit on the hand that feeds you. Like I would be sitting there, I'm like, this is great. We're all gonna get paid more.
It's gonna be great. Could you imagine her on, I don't know, like one of the top WNBA teams, and then like Angel Reese on another one, the rivalry that they could have? It would be sick.
Bird magic,
fucking awesome.
There we go.
It's great. They finally got somebody. They've been bitching for years that respect us, blah blah blah, and they finally get somebody that's gonna get them ratings. And what do? They shit on them. You can't make this shit up. You just can't. Makes me sick.
I saw the other thing you posted in there too, Luke, that it was like the highest viewed basketball game of the last like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean that's insane, and it's the cool thing is that it was deservingly so. It's just it was compelling. It was more compelling. It was
Really
it was just a better product than what the men's game.
I mean,
was.
the UConn Iowa game was fantastic. There was so much drama in that game. South Carolina kind of coasted, but the Iowa run was really good.
Ooh, I'm seeing other stats here on that thread you posted, Luke.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It beat every college football thing except for the playoffs and
Wow,
Ohio State,
dang.
Michigan. It
That's
got
right.
higher ratings than
Dang.
every other college football game besides Ohio State, Michigan, and the playoffs.
I wonder. I guess
that's
that's why
nuts.
people are so jealous. Like, if I'm in a field and I think I'm great, and then somebody comes along and they just move the meter that much, I might be jealous.
Yeah, I mean it's whenever you're the number one, you're gonna get hate. That's it, and
But
there's just no way
she
around it.
handled everything with class and dignity, and she's a great ambassador. And like I enjoyed watching her, and I know she really cared about her teammates. And I don't know, I enjoyed the story. I watched it. I was thoroughly into it as much as I was the men's.
What do you guys think the ratings are next year?
Lower.
About half.
By a half.
I mean, like unless they get another juggernaut, I don't see it happening.
And that's gonna be hard.
Do we know what the ratings were last year or a couple years ago before Caitlin Clark?
They were low.
Find that.
Let's
yeah.
XFL Jim.
I'm looking it up right now. So that would have been
Sleuth it.
22, right?
22. You can just see if you can find them from the last several years.
Yeah. Let's see what I got. Ratings history. Those are Final Four. So last year's was 9.9. The year before that was 4.8.
So 9.9 was still
that
was Caitlin Clark era.
Yes. So from 22 to 23, it doubled and then doubled again.
Yeah.
Right. So realistically, this could go from like almost 19 million back down to like 5.
I'm gonna say 6.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Maddie. I'm gonna say like 6, maybe 7. I think there's
6,
enough
2.
cool storylines still.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people liked it, so she helped even leaving. She's gonna leave 2 extra mil.
The only issue with women's, especially college, like women's college basketball, without the stars like this, the parity is so bad that it's just a lot of times watching the games, it's a foregone conclusion.
Right.
Yeah, but Iowa UConn was awesome.
Iowa UConn was awesome, but like most of the time,
But it's
most
because
seasons,
her, otherwise
Yeah.
Iowa would got blown out of the water.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like that's what Jim's saying is that you have like top 2-3 teams and that's it.
Yeah, but
you know?
UConn is bringing in like 3 top 10 players next year. So UConn South Carolina will be a must-watch game. You know, it will
Well,
be.
it's more than just the people playing; it's the stories.
Yeah,
and
that's the hard part.
surroundings, so.
You're not going to find another Caitlin Clark for years, and it's like they finally found the golden goose there, and for these people to shit on it is so wild because you're looking for that outbreak star, and you really can't determine what the public is going to love. Like,
Yeah.
if they love and they've embraced Caitlin Clark, then there's something about her in her game and the way she is that they've embraced, and you just have to accept it. You know,
Yeah.
there's
Sorry,
bands,
haters.
there's bands I love, and then there's bands that are much bigger than them, and I'm like, why
Yeah.
do they like these bands over the? It's just the way it is. You can be a hater or you cannot.
All right.
Excuse me.
I'm gonna shift over to some NFL news. We had Stephon Diggs going to the Texans.
hmm It's a
Does
good
this
move for the Texans.
Good move for the Texans, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I don't think he's got to be a number one because they got 2 really talented wide receivers.
Yeah.
So he can really fit in as a possession receiver.
Mm.
And I think his attitude was he was getting kind of a little diva in Buffalo. And I think they were like, all right, we'll get you out of here.
But you think he'll go and play nice and be happy being not the
Yeah,
number
as long
one?
as they win, and he's lost a step, so he doesn't have to be a bomb guy. He can be a 10-yard out guy. You know, he can be a possession receiver because Nico Collins is pretty sick,
That's
and
right.
he's going to
He's
be
really
the number
good.
one guy. So Diggs doesn't have to be the number one guy. It's a good spot.
So, all right. Well, hopefully it does
Texans
work
are
out.
doing something. Texans are
They
doing
are
something.
they are
Texans doing
making some moves. I thought the Jags would own that division, but now it's the Texans.
Yeah.
All it takes is someone messing up the draft and
All it takes is
guessing wrong on a quarterback ahead of you.
Well,
it
they've
takes is a
already got
franchise
that
quarterback.
settled. So good for the Texans.
There's a crazy basketball game going in my backyard right now.
Who's playing?
My brother-in-law and his son, and he's
Who's winning?
fantasizing. All I just heard is state wins. I don't know what that means. It might be
State?
a generic college.
He's just calling himself
Can
state.
you hear it?
A little bit. Yeah, that's funny. The A's, now that they're officially moving to Las Vegas, are in a very big rush to get the hell out of Oakland.
Sure.
So they're going to be playing the next couple of seasons in Sacramento until their stadium is
That's
ready
smart.
in Vegas.
Did you ever see the last game the Cleveland Browns had?
No.
No.
You got to watch the video of the fans. Like the last game the Browns had before they moved to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Probably Bill Belichick might have been murdered. Like, or if any exec with Cleveland could have been murdered that day. There was a lot of chair throwing. There was a lot of violence. I think the A's realized like people are really fucking mad. There's no reason to be here. Let's just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because then you get to have an opportunity to play for a new city and possibly pick up some more fans in a different city. But I think the ballpark is going to have like 10,000 stadium, like 10,000
this is
seats.
just
in
for
it.
protection.
Yeah, this is just that,
This is
and
like- Yeah,
if you
get
could
out
put
of
like
Oakland.
if you could put 6,000 people in a 10,000 person stadium, it looks way better.
Oh, yeah.
Than like a 30 to 40,000.
It would be
Yeah.
funny if the Sacramento fans were all like, well, you're just moving to Vegas. We're going to party in the parking lot and not go in.
No,
just
they'll
kinda-
have fun because they can watch Major League Baseball.
Oh,
in a
yeah. No,
tiny
it's going to be like
place.
that Field of Dreams game.
Yeah.
No.
But to be in Oakland, it's just too dangerous and there's too much anger. And if I was working for the team, I would not want to show up every day where you have people probably spinning at you and throwing stuff at you.
What has MC Hammer done? He was a
He was a
bat
bat
boy.
boy.
He was a number one A's fan.
Bat
Mr.
boy.
Oakland.
He was
Yeah.
a bat boy.
I know. I haven't
Yeah.
heard him get upset about this though. I want to know what Hammer.
I feel like he's been a recluse.
I think we realize that Oakland can't sustain professional sports anymore.
Well,
as
they
great as
have
it-
nothing to
yeah.
sustain now.
No.
It's all
But
over.
Vegas
This was
can.
it.
Vegas is a new sports city. So
Yeah.
Vegas can sustain everything.
Well, speaking of the
Yeah.
Field of Dreams game, their
Mhm.
former MLB player JJ Hardy, he's building a baseball field in his backyard in his Arizona home.
That's awesome. That's cool.
I'm
Yeah,
sure he can afford it, right?
of course. I mean, he played for like 3 different teams. He's,
Yeah.
if you play one year in the
He was a
MLB,
shortstop, I believe,
yeah.
for
But now his
the
neighbors are
Orioles.
all like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's got like 20-foot poles
I
going
love
up
it.
as a backstop. I put in some big bright lights every night.
It's like if Jim was
Oh,
my
he
neighbor,
put the floodlights in too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
do you think he heard voices?
Yeah, he might have. We don't know
He
who's going to
saw the
show up.
vision.
Yeah. So this should be awesome. So stay tuned.
Would you guys like your neighbor to have a baseball field in their backyard?
Sure. Yeah, I'd hang out, especially Fenway Park.
It would be fun. Like there's a little baseball field down the road from me where like some college people play in the summer and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's fun. And I would just get drunk and watch and root on the home team.
You know,
That does sound very fun.
there's a big league in Cape Cod. The Cape Cod League is, but I would Palm Springs would be hot as fuck.
No. They do it like it goes from like June to mid-July, just before it gets insanely
Yeah.
hot. And then they do it after the sun goes, like when it's at night. So it's not atrocious.
Get the lights
they have
on.
misters in there, and then you're like rooting on all these college prospects that are representing the Palm Springs power.
Nice.
So
Have you
it's
gone to a
fun.
hockey game yet?
No, I haven't been to watch the Firebirds yet, but it's a
I come up
huge
there,
thing
we'll
here.
have to
People
go.
love that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
They
your
went to the
little team.
championship game in their first year and
Nice.
loved it. Yeah, so everybody's rallied around it. It's a big thing here for sure. But it's fun. It reminds me of it's small town shit. It's a blast.
Just a small town girl.
Yeah. Did you see this Jonte Porter news?
Yeah, I know he got busted. I mean, he's smart, man. Like, hey, if you can bet the under on your props, why not go for it?
Yeah, except when it's very obvious because no one else is betting on your fucking props because you're not a big name. And all of a sudden the props spike, and then the FBI is like, "What's this?" And then
I
you
don't
get
know why
caught.
you
They're
would
talking
ruin your
about a
whole
possible
life for it.
lifetime banishment. For
Yeah,
this.
why would you ruin your whole life for something so stupid?
It doesn't seem worth it.
He's making
No.
$2 million this year.
Exactly.
He's on a $5 million contract.
It's also
Is that
gonna
not
hurt guys
enough?
like us because we love to gamble, and these leagues have just accepted it, and they're like, "Hey, man, we might as well embrace it." But it's hard to embrace it when guys are getting busted for being a part of it.
Well,
And
it's
also
just
tanking on purpose.
the problem is now is you can do it right from your phone. So that's why
Yeah.
we've had a lot of NFL guys get busted doing this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And luckily, I mean, this is the most egregious though,
This
is
is the
betting on your
worst.
own performance.
Yeah, and lowering.
Yeah. You can because you can easily hit the under of any of these
I
performances.
would suspend them for 5 years.
That's not a bad idea. I think that's
Or
good
2
Yeah.
because
years.
it's not an absolute. He can go play in
Yeah.
Europe or whatever and maybe find his way back. He's still a young guy,
But very foolish.
but it's a very strong statement as well. Like, no,
Yeah.
you can't do this. We'll still see if anything happens with Shohei in baseball. We don't really know.
That's going to be
details of
hard
that.
because they've marketed him so
Oh
hard.
yeah, and they
He'll
have
be
to
fine.
prove he bet like on baseball specifically. I think in
Yeah.
that regard.
I mean, this guy Porter plays like what, 10 minutes a game?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he averages like under like 5 points or something. He's only like in his second year or something.
Now, is he still playing or did they?
No, he's been
suspend him?
out since like March 23rd.
So they're like, we're going to sit you out and figure out what we're
They've
doing.
not
Yes.
cut him. He's like, on that, well, we don't know quite what
Yeah.
to do. Like when somebody gets an allegation against him and
Sure,
they don't
like
feel it's
Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, it's a Trevor Bauer kind of thing. Like, we don't know what to do with you yet.
Well,
so-
very stupid.
Yeah, so just sit on the sidelines while we figure out. Got Dark Side of the Ring coming up in a bit, but other news, not sports, but action that can be admirable is Morgan Wallen, the country singer best known for saying the N-word in some video, now known for throwing a chair from a Nashville bar, like a 6th story up. And now everybody's going there to try to find the chair and sit in that chair.
Yeah, he
So
threw
we
it
do
and
Do you
like
it.
approve
it
of this
landed like
behavior, Maddie?
it
Who
landed
did you
like
throw
10
it
feet
at?
away from some cops.
Yeah,
I think
nice.
he just threw it out the bar,
How
like
old is he?
outside, and
I
it
don't know
lit.
anything about this guy.
Well, I mean, he's like a country guy. Like, remember he got canceled a couple years ago, but he's country, so you don't necessarily get canceled for saying the N
Yeah.
word if you're a
Where
country.
did he say it? In what context?
In
Well, that
Nashville,
was
just at a bar, just for fun. I think.
Okay. I don't know much about him. I don't know. I don't know
Oh,
the
he's
chair
my
thing.
age.
But I remember rock stars like the Who would destroy hotel rooms.
well,
So
Keith Moon drove a car into a Holiday Inn swimming pool.
yeah, they would take the TVs and throw it in the
Yeah,
pools and
yeah,
stuff. Motley Crue would burn the mattresses. You know
yeah.
what they would do? They used to bully the guitarist that was like all fucked up. So they'd have to room like Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee would room. So they'd burn their mattresses. They didn't have a place to sleep. So they'd go into Mick Mars' room, pick him up, throw him in the hallway, and then sleep in his room.
So this is not as extreme as
It
definitely
is now.
rockers of yesteryear. But nowadays, I feel like every rocker, there's like who's like nobody, everybody sort of plays by the rules now.
Yeah,
You
bad
know?
behavior is really frowned upon. Where years ago, when you're like when your rock star was like, dude, they like trashed this and they trashed the dressing room. You're like, fuck yeah. Now it's like, what a bunch of dicks. So the times have changed in that sense. So
Times have.
I guess he's bringing back that 80s, 70s, 60s. Like,
He's
we're gonna,
definitely bringing back the '60s.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was. God, I'm just surprised some of these people even get drunk in public anymore. You know, especially after he got popped. You know, throwing the N word around. I don't remember
what's
the
his big
context
song?
of it, but you
I
still
don't even
can't
know.
do
What
it.
is his song?
It's a country song. You'd never hear of it. Like, I
It's
don't
about
know.
his dog and his ladies.
No, these are new ones, so they're probably talking about. I don't know what new country
The
people
worst
sing
country
about.
guys are the
Except,
ones who try to add a little hip hop flavor in it. Oh, those guys need to go to hell.
we talk about the
I'm looking up his number
Georgia
one
Southern
song
line.
right now.
There's always like a new country guy. It's like I added like hip hop to this, and it's just really embarrassing.
Well, when the last CMTs came out, the Country Music Awards, it was like Jelly Roll. I'm like, who the fuck is that? And
Dude,
some white
Jelly
guy
Roll
that
is
looks
the
like Post
worst.
Malone, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what's
he's the
going on
worst.
here? Yeah, I'm like,
I
On
don't
that side
understand the
note, Post
appeal.
Malone doing country is actually awesome.
Post Malone was in Roadhouse too.
Yes.
Did you watch
Hilariously.
it?
Yes,
Look,
I did see it.
He was a badass
He was
I
awesome.
I can't take
until
anything
he
away
had to
from him. He's
fight
very
Jake
talented.
Gyllenhaal.
Post Malone is very talented.
You
Very
liked
talented.
his national anthem, didn't you? When he
His national anthem was great, and like even though I'm not the biggest Nirvana fan, I've seen him do Nirvana, and like even though it's like he can like he
what
sounds
Nirvana did
exactly.
he do? What song?
I forget, but it sounds a lot of some of the hits like
All
from
right,
what's the album? Nevermind.
yeah.
Yes, a lot of the hits.
Well, they pull from Paul Westerberg, so I'm
They
sure you
they stole
appreciate that.
everything.
I wouldn't say everything. They did.
Well,
I
they
think
have a song. The replacements have a song called "Nevermind" that they totally stole.
ah, they stole the song. Never mind.
Well, the idea of it.
Yeah. See that they're very different bands, but Kurt's voice, he kind of pulled the rasp. I
Yeah,
know
and then
that
it's like
from
that energy, and they made
yeah,
a hell of a video. "Smells Like Teen Spirit" was like the perfect video.
yeah.
But I will say this: when they came out, they're the only band that in high school, guys on the football team, Nevermind came out. The next day, they quit the team and they had pink hair. I've never seen anything like that, and it's the truth.
And it is the truth.
I mean,
Would know.
what bands can do that?
I don't know.
I mean, imagine Jimmy playing Iron Man football 8-8. His dad goes to
It
see
was
the
12
game.
on 12, Maddie.
Wait, no, then yeah, and Bell and Sebastian hit the
Yeah,
scene.
Nevermind comes out and he's got pink hair and he's
That'd been
like,
awesome.
"Fuck you, Dad. I'm a
Jim, who
life
came
sucks."
out when you were like in high school? Who was the soundtrack of your high school?
A lot of the like Green Day was big,
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though that was like pre-high school for me. Fallout Boy,
Yeah,
like for
Fall Out
rock
Boy.
bands.
Right.
A lot
Fall
of hip
Out Boy.
hop.
It was emo, so everybody was getting
Lot
bangs
of
in their
emo,
face and
dude.
shit.
Emo was like, as I was growing up, like middle school especially,
Uh-huh.
the emo thing started when I was like in 6th grade. So you
Yeah.
got to see that kind of develop.
Fall Out
Wow.
Boy's kind of
Lots of
funny
emo.
because every college football year they find like a Fall Out Boy song and they make it the song of the year. Like
Oh.
remember, it's like Century,
Dude, the Century one is just still ingrained in my head for how often they played it.
Light 'em up, fire. And I'm
You know, it's
like,
funny.
every goddamn like the NHL uses them. It's weird that they become like this weird jock jam band.
We like my high school, people listened to like alternative or whatever they
Yeah.
were calling it at the time.
Hmm.
But if you went to like our keggers in the woods, we were just cranking like Leonard Skinner to Metallica like the whole time. It was so funny because our class song was like Tuesday's Gone by
That's
Skinner.
wild.
And then my buddy Rusty, though, I think he got his class song to be Bop.
Is he
And it
older
was
than
Oh,
you?
really
that's
funny.
awesome.
It was really awesome.
I made love to a girl. I kid you not.
Yeah.
I used to date this girl. We had sex a few times.
But did you make love or have sex, Maddie? Did you look into her eyes?
We made love.
Okay.
Did you make love to Mbop?
No, but I kid you not. She had a Hanson tattoo.
Ha!
I kid you not. She
serious?
loved him so much. She had a hand, and I was like, because I was like, what the fuck is this? She's like, Hanson tattoo. And I'm like, this is a joke, right? Like, you lost a bet? She's like, no, I used to love Hanson, so I got a Hanson.
I know a guy who played on the Hanson album. He was a bassist for this band called Sugartooth. And I
They were
think
good.
now he manages like some restaurant up in Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
But he was talking about he played on the Bop song
Yeah.
on that album, and he was like when he gets up to this house where the recording studio was, the drummer, this the little kid was like
Yeah.
crying because he couldn't drum to the metronome, like he couldn't get the timing right, so he's like crying. So imagine like you're a guy that's put in blood, sweat, and tears, and now you're like getting paid to go play with this child. Like
Maybe those people that hate Caitlin Clark are right.
what's that?
It all goes full circle.
Right. I don't know. This guy also he played bass on a Rolling Stones album too.
Yeah. It is well the session musicians who are so talented. It's like, hey, we got these kids, they're like 14 or 15. They suck, but they're handsome, and 14-year-old girls are gonna love them.
Yeah.
But you do all that, you play. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a real drummer come in and do the drumming and
Yeah,
shit.
well, Bop was a banger though. I will.
It was. Still
it
is.
was like it's
Not
still
not enough for a
infectious.
girl to get a tattoo of Hanson.
That how old was she?
She's probably now. I think I met her in her 20s. She's probably in her mid-30s.
So she was already in her 20s when she decided to get this Hanson tattoo.
I think
and
so.
this
Maybe
was this was before. Wait, this was this during the time of Hanson?
No, this was like after, but no
Oh.
regrets.
Wow.
But it was like, so it's like maybe 15 years after they were famous. But
Oh, wow.
absolutely zero. I was like, you regret it, right? She's like, hell no.
Women
I'm
are
like-
strange like that. Their fandom goes unmatched. When they love someone, they will just
It
love
is
them
wild
to the
to
end.
think that somebody has a Hanson tattoo.
That's
And
awesome.
not the Hanson brothers, but the
No.
shitty band Hanson with their one-hit wonder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Are you guys ready to make a move? Are you ready to
Yeah.
cross the line to the dark side?
I'm ready for the dark side.
Ooh. Dark side of the ring. This week, Harley Race, handsome Harley Race.
Great
I love the
episode.
shows because these people
Yes.
I really didn't think too much about during my time of seeing
Yeah.
them. I get shown a whole new light and totally
Yeah.
think about him completely different. This guy was a big heel, ultimate heel innovator, and he had a big reputation that he can't get hurt. Mick
Mhm.
Foley, this is one where Mick Foley's creaming his jeans because this is
Mhm.
another one of his idol. What do you guys think of this one?
I liked it a lot. I mean, I'm old enough to remember him wrestling, and the WWF wasn't a good fit for him because
Yeah.
he wasn't like the Undertaker or Macho Man. He was just like a dude.
Now he
with like
came
a
from like the eye gouge days.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before watching this, the only two things I knew about him, because I do love wrestling and the history of it, is when wrestlers would come to Kansas City, he would have these insane barbecues, which they didn't mention, and that he beat the fuck like in the locker room. He like either like gave Hulk Hogan a bear hug and nearly killed him, and like everybody knew he was the toughest, scariest guy that would really fuck you up.
Yeah. It's always nice when you hear like these guys who are the real deal behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah, like everybody knew like he was the scariest guy and you don't mess with him.
Yeah. So this guy, he was always meant to be a wrestler. He started wrestling as a teen, and he would even skip school to wrestle, telling when confronted by his principal, "Why did you skip school today?" And he said, "It was a good day to wrestle."
Mm-hmm.
Then his principal slapped him, and then Harley knocked him out.
Damn right.
You ever want to knock out your principal?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
Mine
I
were
did.
all great guys. I liked all my principals.
My principal wasn't very nice.
No,
No.
you should have fucking knocked him out like Harley Race style.
He looked exactly like the guy in I'll send you a picture after this. He looked exactly like the guy in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like exactly like
What's his name? Jones, the guy that
Rooney.
got popped for
yeah, for pedophilia.
pedophilia. Yeah.
But I kid you not, when I'm gonna text you after the show, they were like, it's very weird.
All right. So I like how a lot of these stories happen by happenstance.
Mhm.
So while he's a teen, he gets a job at a farm owned by the Zabisco brothers, who are very famous old school wrestlers. And he didn't even know they were wrestlers until he heard something about
You
it one
got
day.
lucky there.
Right. So imagine like you're interested in wrestling, and then you end up accidentally getting a job by people who were major players in wrestling.
And I think their son is Larry Zabit. One of their sons is Larry.
Yeah, I only knew Larry as a commentator
Yeah.
when I was growing up. I think it was WCW or NWA.
Yeah.
So this was him. This was Cornette talking about him discovering the Zabisco brothers and then being trained by them.
Harley found out they were wrestlers, and they offered to train him in exchange for his farm work. It amounted to legalized torture. They would stretch him. They would beat him up. They would put him in holes he couldn't escape from to see if he was tough enough to come back and ask for more. Because in their generation of professional wrestler, they knew the other guy had the ability to grab one of their appendages and break it instantly.
It's like, man, you just want to wrestle, and then these guys
Jesus.
are trying to break
Reminds you
you.
of the dungeon. Stu
Yeah.
Hart's dungeon.
Yeah.
By the way, Jim Cornette is so good on these shows. Who do you think loves what they love more? Jim Cornette wrestling, Jim XFL, our Jim spring football. Who is
Ooh,
more passionate about what they love?
I don't know. That's a challenge.
Oh.
Jim
That
doesn't
I
even
gotta
know.
say,
No, I don't,
Jim,
dude.
if
I
you
don't
have
even
to
know.
think about it,
It might be Cornette, just because like the way he goes in watching this much Dark Side of the Ring.
know.
I don't know if anybody loves anything more than Jim Cornette loves wrestling.
and telling these stories about these guys that he loves.
I think Jim Cornette actually loves himself talking about wrestling more than
Oh,
he even
he
loves
loves it.
wrestling.
Oh,
though.
you know what? That might
Yes.
be it, Luke.
Yeah,
'cause-
like
Yeah, you're right.
I could see him getting aroused watching clips of himself talking about, some match in 1967. Like,
Yeah, who'll wax poetic
yeah.
about these matches for hours on his podcast, and it just is like he goes off and it just.
Do you think Darkseid pays him for these interviews? Because he does
No.
make most of these episodes.
No, I don't think so. And as a matter of fact, when I talked to the guy that was here,
Yeah,
like
Dan.
he makes everybody food, and he like loves when they come out. So it's more like,
Oh,
come
wow.
on out, I'll make
It's a
you.
labor of love.
Yeah,
I wonder if they go out multiple times, or they just know what their episodes are going to need him for each year, and then just do it all in one.
they probably go out for the
Tough show.
seasons because they use like Mick Foley. They use a lot. Cornette.
Yeah.
Certain people they'll use. Jake the Snake. They always use a couple times.
Yeah. So after he trained with the Zabisco brothers, he wrestled in the circus, which is where people used to get their start way back.
That's
in the day.
awesome. That's
And what's-
so. Classic.
even cooler is there would be a lot of real matches. So if no one would fight, they would basically, you'd have a guy in the ring challenging the crowd, like, come up and beat me, see if you can take me. And if nobody would take the offer, they would have a plant in the audience that would come and do it, and then it would be a work. But you had people that would offer to fight, and then he'd legit fight up to 6 guys a day who'd often headbutt them just to try to get the matches over quickly. And he knew how to dislocate their fingers and shoulders and whatnot.
I don't think anybody would want to fuck with Harley.
No,
Why can't they bring that back to the circus?
Right, real fights. And one of his jobs, this was fantastic. One of his jobs while he was in the circus, there was a very famous circus performer named Happy Humphrey, who was about 700 pounds. He was a wrestler. And so Harley's job was sort of the valet to sort of drive him places. And then also he had to bathe this 700-pound guy. Again, we're going with Cornette.
You think he had to wipe his butt?
Well, Cornette's going to tell you exactly how he did it.
Yeah.
Happy Humphrey would lay down on the ground naked, and Harley Race would take a bottle of liquid soap, a mop, and a garden hose, and basically clean Happy Humphrey off so they could get back in the car and go to the next town without enduring the unending disaster of BO.
That's paying your dues.
That's exactly. Jim, is this how your girl bathes you?
It's how some people bathe me.
Like, if anybody ever complains to Harley Race, like, yo, like, this is tough, he's like,
fuck off.
I had to bathe a 700-pound guy naked, and I had to drive him around. I had to probably go to these fast food restaurants, order like 40 burgers, probably wipe his ass.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's paying your dues, man.
That's rough. That's being a goddamn caretaker, too.
Yeah.
Dude, on top of that, so then he gets married at 16 to a single mom. Like, wow. Like,
That's
you're 16 and you're like taking on more responsibility than I'm even willing to take on in my middle age. And then shortly after, though, his wife dies in a car wreck and he barely survives. He was pronounced dead at the scene until they saw him twitch or something. So he makes a comeback and he teams up with Larry Hennig, who is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig's father.
Second generation.
Yeah, well, and then his grandson is Curtis Axel, who was Intercontinental Champion at one point too, and also the son of Mr. Perfect.
And now he's got a daughter that wrestles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Mrs. Perfect. Lady Perfect. That's funny. Eventually, he was also at one match. Some guy was roughing up a woman, so he goes over there and starts beating the guy. And this guy's friend stabs him in the back a bunch. And then when he finds out it was a small town, so he found out who stabbed him. He goes over to the guy's house and just lights him up the house with a machine gun. I love when you can just do this shit and you never got in trouble.
Remember the movie 3 O'Clock High?
Of course. When
they're like, Buddy Revell did this, and it's kind of fun because, like, did you hear at his other school he did this? Harley Race is that guy, and it's all true.
That's right. He is that dude. Eventually he goes solo and he wins the NWA title, and he won it like 7 or 8 times.
7 times.
7 times. And he
damn son.
He also you do like hour-long matches every night.
Broadway,
hour-long matches. It's insane.
According to Jim Cornette, it's called Broadway.
Broadway, baby.
Get the term right.
Is that what an hour-long match is called a Broadway
the smart
match?
Marks call them Broadway. I think it's so funny.
Smart
can you go Broadway?
Can you go Broadway? Like, what is that in stand-up? You got a solid hour of comedy?
I don't know. It's just in wrestling. That's what they call it.
Only in wrestling.
It's pretty funny.
He was so successful. They love and beloved. They let him buy into the promotion. And then, of course, Vince McMahon comes along.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to be cool. There was a big Starrcade. Starrcade was the big event for NWA back in the day. And Ric Flair was coming up, and he's big, and he's supposed to win the title from Harley. And before Starrcade, Vince comes along and That's when he just got the company from his dad. He's trying to take it national. And he offers him $250,000 back in the day, which would be, I don't know how much, probably like 3 mil now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Vince tries to offer Harley 250,000 not to go to just dip out of Starrcade and just come to WWE. And Harley's like, no, fuck you. This would ruin everything. No one would ever respect Flair. They wouldn't know what happened to me. And then as he's walking away, Vince tries to tackle him. And Harley chokes out Vince.
Not the first time. I mean, it
No.
was the first time, but it happened again with this guy Nails who beat up Vince. But Harley was loyal at the time.
Committed to the bit.
Committed
which
to
I
the
love
bit.
so much about,
Yes.
especially these old school wrestlers. Always committed to the bit.
So then one day, WWE's rolling through Kansas City during their national takeover. This is prime Hulk Hogan era. He's the champ. And Harley Race doesn't like him in his backyard.
Hell
He gets
no.
all drunk, goes down to the ring, demands to see Hogan in the middle of the day, and even sets the ring on fire. Nobody really said whether this was folklore or not, but they were kind of indicating it might have been folklore, but also not. So
I believe it.
the guy was insane.
Yeah.
Of course, that did not stop the WWE takeover. And
No.
Harley eventually did join the WWE. And as Maddie alluded to earlier, he did not fit in. They had him as King Harley Race. This was the same thing they did with Haiku, right? Or
Haku beat him to be the next king.
Haku beat him to be the king.
Yeah.
So he's part of Heenan's clan, Bobby the Brain Heenan's clan.
Mhm.
But before all that, he was brought in and he fought Hogan in a big match.
Yeah.
And he got injured in a freakish way with a table, part of a table bouncing up into his stomach and rupturing his intestines.
You know, they showed it didn't look that bad, but
It looks like nothing, you know.
He hit it a bad way and it
Maybe it was internal.
Well, it was his intestines. But there's nothing, you don't see anything protruding from the table or anything. It was just the way he landed on it and the way it snapped and kind of hit him. It was so bizarre. So needless to say, it was a long recovery for him, and he comes back and his career is still winding down because he's older, gets into a bad drunk boating accident. A lot of people injured. His wife leaves him. The victims they were in the other boats.
Can we say that his wife was gorgeous?
His wife was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And just could not
deal with it.
Let an opportunity pass to say how shitty of a father and husband he was.
He wasn't made to be married.
No. And she wasn't made to be married to a wrestler because some of these women are still like, oh, he was the best thing in the world, no matter how bad or how many times they cheated on him. And apparently she got multiple calls and letters saying, hey, he owes me money for child support in this town or whatever. Eventually,
there's a lot of race kids out there.
She leaves him. He gets sued for like $250,000, which was most of his almost all of his savings. And then he does the unthinkable. And he appears in a wrestling expose video where they show all the little tricks of how to cut and all the little illusions and all the how they do the kayfabe.
And I remember that show.
It was funny too because they like try to alter his voice and they show him a little bit in silhouette, but it's clearly him. It's like clearly fucking him.
We're gonna expose the secrets of wrestling tonight.
Yeah.
As you'll see, he barely hits the guy.
I love it. I forgot. I don't know if it was Cornette, but they're like, back in the day, Harley Race would beat up somebody like this. But there's no Harley Race to beat up Harley Race.
Exactly. I mean, he was the last guy that would ever do that, and he did it.
Yeah. How weird twists and turns go in one's life.
And then it's funny that Vince signed him. Like, Vince is the type of guy that as long as you can make him money, you can probably almost kill him, and he'll still, if you can make him money, he don't give a fuck.
He's like, oh, you choke me out? Don't care. I can make a buck off you. He did get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Deservingly so, by far.
Deservingly so, definitely. And then he passed away from being a wrestler essentially at
Mhm.
76.
Lung
know-
cancer. I looked it
Lung
up.
can-
Officially,
yeah, it was
lung cancer.
Lung cancer, but at that point it's like 76. Something's gonna kill you at some point. So
That's
He's
like
wear and
80
tear.
to 90 in wrestling year. That's
That's
like
about
90 in wrestling.
He
95.
lived a
at
good.
most.
He lived a good darn life. Though.
Yeah, I mean, he
I
made a
would've loved to
lot of
go to
money.
school.
He lived a fun old school life.
Mhm.
Was a
I
big
would have
star
loved to gone
early,
to his barbecues.
right?
Yeah.
That would
Would
have been
you
awesome.
talk shit?
No, fuck no. When you make me a plate, I go, "Thank you, Mr. Race. This is delicious. This is the best barbecue ribs I've ever had, Mr. Race."
What if he made you pizza? And it was Kansas
I
City
don't
style,
know.
whatever that would be.
I don't
With
know.
some cheese with a bunch of barbecue sauce on it.
I just heard that his barbecues were amazing. That he had
I
all the
bet.
boys out. All the boys were out there in his yard, and imagine the drinking there must have been, and the conversations, and the
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah, this is like 2 weeks in a row where we had dudes that threw epic barbecues and got hurt in boating accidents. Like
Boats
this
are
is the year of
dangerous.
boating accidents for Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah,
All right. Well, it was a great episode.
Great
I
episode.
loved
This was
it.
an awesome
It was
one.
totally old school,
Yeah.
which I loved, and learning about a guy I knew about but didn't really know much about. So
I
It
learned a
was-
lot, and it was great.
fascinating to say the least. Guys, anything else to say before we cut
Anybody
loose?
anybody watch WrestleMania this weekend?
I did not,
No.
I didn't either.
but what I do is
Shout
I
out Cody
sleep.
Rhodes though. Shout out. I've been following his story a little bit. I'm
I know
glad to see
people
him,
hate
like,
The
get on
Rock
top.
now, don't they?
Yeah.
Doesn't like people
I've
not
heard
good
though.
for
I've heard.
spring
Dude,
football league.
I've heard. I mean, what I've heard is that he's actually been killing it with the wrestling recently.
I'm sure he's a great charismatic character, but I haven't watched. I watch 91 to 93 Wrestling Challenge because I love Bobby Heenan. I listen to Bobby Heenan to sleep. I can listen to that guy and him and Gorilla talk. I don't even. I
what
don't
do you mean
even.
91 to 93 challenge? Like the
Wrestling Challenge. The
what was
year
that?
is a show. It's an hour-long show, and it's just like jobbers versus the main guys.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
just hearing Bobby the Brain Heenan, he's like a comedian. He's so funny and he's so fast, and Gorilla's so good with him. I don't even watch the matches. I just listen to him talk, and
Nah,
he
Heenan's-
puts my mind to sleep.
Yeah.
It's
He is a
beautiful.
goat for sure.
I can't watch new wrestling. I just can't get
Yeah.
into it. I'm sorry.
I don't. Have you tried AEW though?
I liked it with MJF, but he's not on it really much anymore. So I'll
Where
get
is he?
back into it.
What's he
He's
doing?
hurt.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'll try that one sweet day. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week for another edition of The Sports Hole.
Sports
Hole.
Hole.